What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest in boxing. Now, I'm on the verified page on Instagram of The Truth, Errol Spence Jr. And he posted something that I liked yesterday. And it was a simple picture, training picture. He's getting cooled off with some water and whatnot. And the caption reads, "Being a pro fighter is a mental and physical grind not meant for everyone. None of the BS can phase me. Hashtag strap season. Hashtag stay ready. Hashtag man down." And I got to commend this man because for me, he's hungry. From everything I've seen, he's hungry. The dude, it looks like he's staying in shape. He's constantly working, and he's not letting, like he said in the caption, the BS phase him and deter him. And it's very easy. I know a lot of fighters, and boxing is a crooked game. There's a lot of politics. I know some of your favorite fighters, some deep dark secrets about little back room, and I'm not here, this is not TMZ or nothing, you know what I mean? I'm not doing a tell-all book, but there's some crazy stuff that happens with promoters not giving fighters per diem, fighters like in the public on Instagram saying they want the fight, but behind closed doors they're turning down fights and they don't really want the fight, you know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean, a lot of the media is in pockets of some of these certain promoters or networks and just different things like that, to the point where they'll play spin doctors and they'll make it look like one guy's ducking and the other person is really the one who's ducking, the one that they're trying to protect. Different stuff like that. And through it all, you see Errol Spence Jr., who's staying disciplined, still working, and staying patient. Now, Errol is in a very precarious position for someone his age. He's an Olympian. He didn't strike gold. As a pro, he's handling business, but he doesn't have like an in-prime marquee name where people will give him, they just have to bow down, you know what I'm saying? He has solid wins like the Chris Algieri, and how he's dispatching, I think that is the most important, how he's handling these guys. Like Chris Algieri had been in there with Manny Pacquiao. That's the guy that you guys are saying is fighter of the decade. And even though he lost to Floyd Mayweather, Max Kellerman says he's the best fighter of this generation. Could not stop Algieri. Errol Spence, without that same, Pacquiao has almost 70 fights. You guys got to keep this in mind. He has almost 70 fights. And without that same pro level experience, Errol Spence knocked him down multiple times en route to a stoppage. Ruslan Provodnikov hurt him bad early, round 1 I think it was, and his eye got worse as the fight progressed. And even with one eye, Chris Algieri was somehow able to stay on his toes and not get knocked down again after those 2 early knockdowns and box his way to a split decision. Silver medalist Amir Khan was having problems. Chris Algieri is coming off the Pacquiao loss. He moved up from 143 Pacquiao catchweight to the full 147, and it looked like he buckled Amir Khan in the first round. Nonetheless, he gave Amir Khan a tough dogfight. Brand new trainer, first fight at the full 147, and Errol Spence just demolished him. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even like a Chris was boxing good for him. You know what I mean? It was just he kind of walked him down and he had no answers. So I like the performances, but Errol clearly needs the name and he's searching for the name. I talked to him last year, did an interview, and he said he wants to fight Kell Brook, Vargas winner, because at the time, before anyone knew Kell Brook was going to move up 2 weight classes for whatever reason and fight Triple G, it was Kell Brook and Jesse Vargas was the rumored fight. He said he wants to fight Danny Garcia, Thurman Porter winner. He just wants to fight somebody. Now on this picture, he says, "Eyes on 2017. I'm coming for it all. Happy New Year to all y'all out there who support Team Truth." So I just like this attitude, man. Staying focused, still working, and not getting discouraged through it all, because that's really not an easy thing. It can be a daunting task because a lot of politics. I mean, with this Kell Brook fight, Kell Brook, he got stabbed after the Sean Porter fight. I mean, that was a freak accident nobody was expecting. Came back, he had to make sure his leg was operable, and he fought his mandatory, Jojo Dan. Then he had pretty quick turnarounds, came back and fought Frankie Gavin, for whatever reason. I think it might have even been pay-per-view in the UK. I don't know why. And then he came back and fought. He was supposed to fight Diego Chavez, but he allegedly got hurt in training camp, which Kell Brook I love Kell Brook's skill. I like Kell Brook. But there's some weird things that happen with Kell Brook fights. Like, to me, if you guys, I'm a longtime boxing fan, and I've been reporting on boxing and covering the sport, aside from just being a fan, for quite some time, and I have a pretty good memory. Kell Brook was supposed to fight Devin Alexander on 3 separate occasions. 2 of them, the fight got canceled or postponed because of Kell Brook pulled out with injury. This was before the Sean Porter fight, before he became a champion. And then one time it was Devin Alexander's fault because he got hurt. And then ultimately the fight never happened. And this was about the time before Sean Porter beat Devin Alexander, and Devin Alexander had the IBF strap, right? Then the Diego Chavez fight, fast forward to that fight, that was in talks to happen. And allegedly Kell Brook got hurt again. And then by the time he was better, they said, oh, guess what? You're up for another mandatory somehow, and you have to fight Kevin Bezier, which is a domestic fight that, I mean, us in America, the U.S. didn't really care for or want to see. You know what I mean? Same thing with Kell Brook, Brandon Rios. They negotiated for like 6, 7, 8 months. It was well documented, tons of YouTube videos, and then nothing ever happened with it. You know what I'm saying? That's a crucial process. And through it all, Errol Spence, to me, has been very patient during that. And it's not easy to stay disciplined when you're dealing with bullshit. He knocked out Leonard Bundu, great knockout win, and he did it in front of 6 million people. You know what I mean? A ton of eyes watching him. I know he wants to get back in and get that title shot, at least the opportunity. Win, lose, or draw, get the opportunity. You know what I mean? He didn't take much punishment in the Bundu fight, and that was when the Rio Olympics were on, and we haven't seen him back in the line. And a lot of people are saying, oh, why doesn't he just fight Andre Berto? You have to understand the business. The business of boxing, it does not make sense to, you're on the IBF track, you're on the route to get a title shot, and you've worked so hard to get that, and to all of a sudden hop out of line to fight Andre Berto. Yes, that's going to give you a name, but you already sit up here and waited so long for your IBF title shot that you will get. You know what I'm saying? You have to get it, because Kell Brooks, he's about out of like room. He's pretty cornered. He's gonna either have to vacate or get stripped of his belt or fight Errol Spence. And we're just waiting till this medical extension gives up, which is roughly February 23rd through February 26th. And then after, it's supposed to go to purse bid. If the two camps maybe have like a week to negotiate it, and if it doesn't, then it goes to purse bid. And then obviously, if Kell Brook says and team says, hey, we don't want to fight this dude, then he'll get stripped or have to vacate his belt. But it's quite the process. I mean, Kell Brook got hurt in the Triple G fight, got a medical extension. I mean, there was a bunch of obstacles. I mean, I could just think of so many things that Errol Spence on this track, and I know I'm getting sidetracked with the Berto thing, but there's just been so many different things that it's easy to get discouraged. Like, here's another example. At one point, I thought Errol Spence was already the mandatory, like already the guy in line. You know what I'm saying? He was the #1 mandatory. And then it came out from the IBF. They put out a statement or whatever saying he has to fight Konstantin Ponomarov in an eliminator. And then the winner of that fight is the #1 mandatory. Then Abel Sanchez says, I don't want to put my undefeated fighter in there with Errol Spence Jr. So he pulls out, and then he has to fight Bundu. You know what I'm saying? And then he beats Bundu better than Keith Thurman. And now he's still waiting for Kell Brook to even decide if he's coming back to welterweight, if he's going to fight Errol Spence. There's been a couple things that he said, like, oh, he better watch out, and Errol Spence is Jeff Lacey, but we haven't seen no action. Like Marshawn Lynch said, shout out to the town, Oakland, Bay Area. Yee. I'm about that action, boss. You know what I'm saying? We got to see Kell Brook. What are you going to do? I mean, you can say whatever on social media, but you're getting all these extensions and stuff. So it's just been a long process. Now back to the Berto situation. A name like Berto, hypothetically, it doesn't make sense for Errol Spence. Like I said, yes, it'll give him a name on his resume if he were able to beat Andre Berto. But at that point, it doesn't make sense. Let's say you and your girlfriend go to a restaurant, right? And you're waiting for your food, right? You're waiting for the food to come, and you're like, man, it's kind of taking long. But you guys just chill, have a couple drinks or something, and you're like, it's been 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then it's like 45 minutes, and you're like, man, we about to leave. I'm starving. The food hasn't come, and it's been 45 minutes. And then you're getting ready to leave, and then you see the waiter coming with your food, and you're starving. You know what I'm saying? Are you really gonna be like, nope, you guys took too long, I'm out of here, dude, and then you're gonna just leave when you're starving? Or are you gonna just like, damn, we waited all this time and the food's here now, might as well just sit here and eat before we catch this show? You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what it is with Errol Spence Jr. He's already endured most of the waiting that he has to do. He's already fought the guys he had to fight, had medical extensions and eliminators and stuff like that. So to fight, to stop all of that and fight Andre Berto, who has no belt right now, right? It's a name, but he doesn't have a belt right now. It doesn't really make sense from a business perspective, because he's already on track. He's like a hair away, one step away from fighting somebody for the IBF title. And it looks like Jeff Horn is fighting Pacquiao. I think that was a ranked guy in the IBF. They were talking about maybe fighting those two, Errol Spence and Jeff Horn, to have the winner become the IBF champion if Kell Brook vacates. So if Kell Brook does vacate, I don't even know who Errol Spence has to fight. Maybe it's Konstantin Ponomarov. Maybe something like that will come back around and they'll take it this time. But like I said, with the restaurant analogy, it does not make sense for him to have waited all this time and then just all of a sudden hop out of line like, you know what, I'm getting impatient, I need a name, and then just fight, you know what I mean, fight a Berto or something like that. When he, because like, let's say he fought Berto and beat him, he's still not a champion, you know what I mean? And Berto has losses. Berto lost to Mayweather, Berto lost to Jesus Soto Caras, to Victor Ortiz the first time, things like that. So people could still say the same thing about Errol Spence. They'd be like, oh, he only beat someone who had been beat. He's never beat like someone who's considered like in prime, you know what I'm saying? So I think he should just stay put, stay patient like he has been, and it's just, his time is coming. It's just crazy how the sport of boxing works with all the politics and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It seems like it would be easy. Like, you just do your part and work and get in position, and then you just get it. And I don't even understand what it is. Errol Spence, he's getting praised by legends in the game, Freddie Roach, Floyd Mayweather's, and all these different people saying how good of a fighter he is. I have interviews with Amir Khan and Andre Berto. They both said the kid's talented, you know what I'm saying? But he can't seem to get no work with nobody. So I think he just needs to stay put. Hopefully the Kell Brook fight pops off. That's obviously the fight most people want to see. And I mean, I would prefer that instead of Konstantin Ponomarov or fighting some random person for the belt. Fight the champion, Kell Brook. So I hope he takes it. I did a poll, and I'll announce the results. But I asked, do you think Kell Brook will fight Errol Spence Jr. next? And you guys voted on that on YouTube and on my Twitter and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Mr. Man Down, the truth. But I mean, he's almost there with his title shot. And with Danny Garcia fighting Keith Thurman and things like that, then I think this could be a good year for him, because there's just a different, like, if Berto fights Chris Algieri and let's say Berto wins, maybe that's a possible fight. Sean Porter needs a fight. So if he becomes a champion, then people will actually want to fight Errol Spence probably more than they do now, because you look at it, Errol Spence right now, you fight him, and if he beats you, you just lost to a guy who doesn't have the best pro resume and he doesn't have a belt. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to losing to a champion. So that's kind of how I look at it. At least it'd be a little bit more worth the risk. If Errol Spence becomes the IBF champion, it might be worth the risk for some of these other fighters to step in with him, because there'll be unifications and or you'll get title shots by fighting him, as opposed to the same result. You know what I mean? If he beat you fair and square, he beat you, but he beat you and there was never a belt at stake. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's really encroaching that deadline for Kell Brook. Like I said, late February, and then he's going to have to make a decision. And I'm telling you guys, at least on my channel, I'm very consistent. If Kell Brook ends up fighting like an Amir Khan, then it's apparent that he doesn't want it with Errol Spence Jr. because I understand he's been trying to get the Khan fight, but literally we all watched Khan brutally knocked out by Canelo. Like, the Kell Brook fight with Khan, it's lost a tremendous amount of luster to me. You know what I mean? At least let Amir get a tune-up. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I'm not even trying to take away, but from, like, let's say Kell Brook knocked out Amir Khan off of a knockout. That's not impressive. You know what I mean? Let Amir Khan kind of get back on his feet. He's already been stopped like 3 times, I think it was. And he's coming off of a bad knockout at a higher weight. So I really don't even care to see the Kell Brook Amir Khan like that. I mean, obviously I'll watch it, but it's clearly not the same. You know what I mean? It's not the same as it could have been if they would have fought a couple fights ago. You know what I mean? So I know Errol Spence is anxious to get back in, and I'm sure I'm going to connect with him at one of these upcoming fights. There's a lot of fights, a lot of Showtime fights, PBC fights and stuff. So I'm going to try to reach out to him and chop it up with him. But I just hope he gets his shot, because boxing is foul and it doesn't always give the people what they've worked for. And that's kind of messed up to me. I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? I feel like you work hard, you should be able to see the results. You know what I mean? And if that's a strap or at least an opportunity, at least you got it. Like, let's say Julian J. Rock Williams, he lost. He fought Jamal Charlo, lost, but he at least got what he was asking for. Like, not saying it like that, like condescending. I mean, he was like, oh, Jamal Charlo, I want my shot, Turkey. You know what I mean? He was calling him out. So he wanted that work, and he at least got the opportunity to fight for it. Came up short, but that's all it's about. You know what I mean? Or for me, like, that's what I want to see. At least give him the shot. So if he comes up short, you know what I mean, gets stopped by Kell Brook or whatever, at least he got his opportunity for what he's worked with. And that's how it is with, like I said, with Julian J. Rock Williams. That's a perfect example. He got his opportunity, and that's what I want to see from Errol Spence. I mean, I don't really see what's not to like about him. Clean cut dude. He's like, you know what I mean, in shape, takes it serious. He seems like a pretty low key dude, likes to have a couple laughs, and in the ring, he's, you know what I mean, he's the truth. He's a monster. He's putting on impressive performances. This is not no like, oh, you know what I mean? I don't use this, but there's a lot of idiotic fans who, oh, he ran. He's clearly not running. You know what I mean? It's so funny what they do to certain fighters, man. Like, let's say a fighter uses some lateral movement, uses their legs more. Oh, he's running. He's too evasive. He's just pity pat, and move. He's just touch and move. He's tickling him. All this, right? And then you get a fighter like Errol Spence, or even like Terrence Crawford when he fought aggressive versus Deary Jean or Hank Lundy, and he was really trying to hurt them guys. He maybe opened himself up a little bit more than normal, and then they say, oh, these guys get hit too much. So it's like, what do you want? You want someone who's a quote-unquote runner, or someone who gets hit too much? You know what I mean? And when you say like Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford get hit too much, they're not getting stopped. They're still undefeated. You know what I mean? Ronda Rousey gets hit too much. That's getting hit too much because she has no answer for it. You know what I mean? She's not doing anything to adapt, and then she's losing. She lost her last 2 fights. To me, that's getting hit too much. But I haven't really seen that with Errol Spence. Yeah, he gets touched. The more aggressive you get, the more likely it is that you're open for a counter. That's just the way it goes. But you're not seeing Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford get knocked all around the ring sideways and drunk, and you know what I'm saying, doing the chicken dance and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem. I'm pretty sure that Errol Spence, if he steps up in competition, he's gonna learn to either learn or know and have the wherewithal. Like, I'm fighting Kell Brook, he has respectable power. I gotta be smart. You know what I'm saying? That just, it kind of comes with the territory. You know what your opponent brings to the table. You know what I'm saying? When Golovkin fought David Lemieux, he certainly heard about the legends of David Lemieux's power, because look how he fought him, behind a jab. He didn't fight a lot of people like that. The guys like Willie Monroe, you know what I mean? He was baiting him and like getting hit consecutively. Triple G knew what he was up against with David Lemieux, and he knew he couldn't make no silly mistakes. So let me know what you think of the truth, Errol Spence. I just want him to get a shot. Drop it in the comment section. Let me know if you think Kell Brook will actually take this responsibility and fight this mandatory, or will he motion for like an Amir Khan fight and just give up the belt? just to me, that is not a good look for Kell Brook, especially to stall it out this long. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.